The views, opinions, and advice expressed in this podcast are solely those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and positions of Pattison Media or the sponsors of this program.
Breathe out. 2, 3, 4.
Wellness is
at the base of it, whether you're dealing with acne or maybe you have eczema or maybe you're just, on your anti-aging era, whatever it may be, we can start with anti-inflammatory nutrition.
I actually think balance is one of the hardest things for anyone to achieve. Really, what is balance? Is it even actually possible?
January 12th, 2019 was the day I started. And I call it my liberation day, when I was going to break out of this sad, bad thing I was in, and I was going to do something about it and make myself get a little healthy.
So rather than the scale deciding, oh, you are worthy, maybe I could decide, I want to be strong, fit, healthy. What does that mean to me?
A real burnout is actually an experience where people can no longer function. They can't be who they want to be.
Welcome to Everything Lifestyle, your podcast for practical advice about how to attain better physical and mental well-being so that instead of just surviving, you're thriving. Everything Lifestyle is powered by Pattison Media. In this series, we'll share a health journey, explore the trends, and talk to experts and hear stories and advice that will help you live your best life. In this episode, going skin deep, how your inside affects your outside, the beautiful truth about balance, the 3 W's of cortisol, why do we think dieting is the answer? That's with Life Unlimited Stephanie Staples. And burnout is a real problem. I'm Linda Freeman. Come join the journey of Everything Lifestyle.
How to choose wellness.
Can you guess which one of your organs is the largest? Are you thinking your brain, maybe your lungs, your stomach? Nope, it's actually your skin. Think about it. It covers your entire body. That means it weighs 20 pounds on an average-sized adult. That's the same as a car tire. And you can't tell by looking at it, but your skin is always hard at work. It sheds parts of itself every single day, and that's enough to give you a whole new layer every single month.
We're going skin deep today with holistic nutritionist Katie Stewart. After battling cystic acne for years, Katie turned her frustration into fuel, diving deep into holistic nutrition and healing the skin from within. And Katie, it is so great to have you here.
Linda, anytime I get to come on a podcast, hang out with you, chat, I'm all in, auto sign me up.
Katie and I go way back, and I am always amazed by her journey. And really, Katie, how you found this place of healing, not just for your skin, but just for yourself and how you viewed food and the importance of it. Mm-hmm. It's really brought you down the road of where you should have always been. And I think it's just perfect.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? When you look back on your life. And I was thinking about this before we hopped on, that we've actually known each other for 20 years now.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that weird?
I want to just ask you the big question of
do it.
Our skin. Tell us the Katie perspective on how important our skin is.
So we could probably do a 5-day intensive workshop on this topic. We currently live in the most visual society the human race has ever experienced in the history of us being around. We are inundated all day long with social media.
Here's what your favorite skincare brand says about you. Today, I'm going to show you how to do an entire set of eyelash extensions. This is the ultimate everyday makeup routine.
And as much as we would love to say, it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter, et cetera, at the end of the day, you still want to feel good in your own body. When you do feel confident in your skin and you feel good in your body, you're able to show up in the world in a way that you're meant to. And I truly think that when women show up in the world in a way that they want to, they're meant to, that whatever their life calling is, we can truly move mountains together. So I want every woman to be able to have that confidence to do the things they're meant to do.
So what should we be thinking about when it comes to what we're eating for the best skin health?
So if we think about just gut health, it's such a popular term. It's like, oh, I have to work on my gut health. But what does that actually mean for you? It could be low stomach acid. When that happens, one, you're going to be malnourished because you're not breaking your food down and able to absorb it. If we're not breaking it down, it's not getting digested. So it starts to putrefy and ferment in your gut and becomes a perfect little buffet for all of the bad opportunistic bacteria and yeast to start to eat and overgrow and proliferate, which is going to lead to additional inflammation. And if we aren't breaking our food down, maybe we aren't having proper bowel movements. And if we aren't having 1 to 3 healthy bowel movements every single day, your body is using your stool to excrete toxins, excess hormones, garbage, things that it doesn't want out of the body. But if it sits there too long, those things can reabsorb back into the bloodstream. Then they can head back to the liver, which is like, whoa, like I've already gotten rid of you. Like, what are you doing back here? So now we're dealing with higher inflammation. We're dealing with higher toxicity and further hormonal imbalances because your body wasn't able to excrete the things it needed to excrete. So when we're looking at, well, what's the right way to be eating and taking supplements, it's going to be so different dependent on that each individual.
These basics that you can give us now are just a really good place for all of us to start so that we know we're nourishing ourselves well. Because as you just mentioned there, it is all connected and the skin is the largest organ. So you're going to have stuff come out through the skin when the whole system isn't functioning well.
Absolutely. And like at the base of it, whether you're dealing with acne or maybe you have eczema or maybe you're just, on your anti-aging era, whatever it may be, we can start with anti-inflammatory nutrition. And I never like to use the word diet because it has a really negative connotation. That's not what we're about. You should never be hungry when you're eating healthy because we want to have that beautiful anti-inflammatory nutrition as our foundation. So this would be things like quality protein. So if you eat animal products, that would be say grass-fed beef or chicken or turkey or sustainably caught fish, bison, pasture-raised eggs. And then on the other hand, if you are a vegan or vegetarian, you could be doing your lentils, your nuts, your seeds, your legumes, your quinoa. You want to be having a great amount of protein because your skin needs protein to repair. It will not repair without protein. And even your liver function needs to have proper protein. And then we want to be looking at, well, what types of rainbow of produce can we be having? The fruits and the vegetables. Maybe we're looking at avocados and apples, whatever the fresh fruits that you love. And then when we're looking at those vegetables, really getting that rainbow, because it's important that we eat each color of the rainbow in rotation because each color has different nutrients to offer to our body. Let's be looking at, say, the quinoas, the brown rice if you can digest it, and all of those wonderful healthy fats, because again, your skin really loves healthy fats. So this is going to be things like avocado, coconut products, nuts, seeds, olive oils. And then when we're looking at the foods that we want to be reducing or giving a miss to, these would be those pro-inflammatory foods that are going to be increasing inflammation in your gut and in your body. If there's one thing I would love for you to start reducing, it would be the refined vegetable oils, like your canola oil. It's also known as rapeseed oil, soybean oil. All of these are so inflammatory to the body. So if we can be swapping these for avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, and then the big one, the refined sugar. So that refined white sugar is going to be inflammation city.
And that's a tough one for people.
It's tough.
It is so unbelievably addictive.
So what the important thing here is, as I'm listing these foods, I never want someone to feel deprived because in this day, we are so lucky to have so many healthy substitutions to all of our favorite foods. So, Linda, I'm a foodie. I'm a comfort food lover. If you go to our blog, you are finding recipes for cookies and baked goods and lemon squares and breads and lasagna and mac and cheese. There's so many great options. And if you are somebody that has a sweet tooth, there's a couple things to consider. One, is it because you have maybe an imbalance of bacteria in your gut that is wanting to feed on the sugar? So it's telling your brain, feed me more sugar. And or we can just start replacing the refined cane sugar, refined white sugar with raw honey, with maple syrup, with monk fruit, with these alternatives that still give us the sweetness that we crave, but in a healthier way. I'm not saying you need to never have something sweet again, because like I love myself a cupcake, let's be real, but doing it in a smarter way as well.
Yeah. I mean, those are all really good ones. It's just such a strong reminder how everything is so connected within our bodies. As you just said, just making those small changes, and over time, you're going to find that because you feel so much better, you probably will also look better. And just overall how you feel both mentally and physically, these changes are going to be something that can just become part of your life.
I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, I need to wake up tomorrow and I don't eat gluten, dairy, sugar. I'm not drinking alcohol. That's so unsustainable. And that is setting a lot of people up for failure. Sure, there's a very few select people that can do it. Love that for you. But I know I wasn't one of those people. It actually took me probably 18 months to 2 years to stop eating the foods that cause me pain, to, start eating more vegetables, to drink enough water, to do all of these things. So don't think that, if you don't have this completed by the weekend that you failed, because that's not the mindset we want to go into. It is many small steps. So take 1 or 2 things each week. And when those feel comfortable of part of your day, that's when you can try something else on. And like Linda said, when you start to feel better in your body, I find that's when something clicks and you're like, oh, okay, what do you mean I don't have joint pain when I get up in the morning anymore? What do you mean I don't have brain fog? What do you mean my energy's increased and I don't need to have 6 cups of coffee a day? It really is the entirety of the body as a whole when you start taking care of yourself.
You need to really look and go skin deep to find out what's going on within your body so that you can heal in the best way possible and live the best life you possibly can. So thank you so much for this. You've mentioned your recipes. I can vouch they are phenomenal. So you can check out Katie at katiestewartwellness.com. You can follow her on Instagram. She's got YouTube.
Instagram, YouTube, podcast is probably where you'll find me the most.
It's awesome. Thank you. It's always great to connect with you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Coming up, we talk cortisol.
Health tag.
Can we truly find the balance? And what does that look like? With a lot of perspectives being heard on social media saying maybe you can have it all, newer mom and Everything Lifestyle's Kat Cullen tracked down someone who challenges balance.
Marlie Cohen, you are the founder of Bounce Forward Co., a mom of 2 and a fitness expert, and just a bundle of energy. Thank you so much for coming and joining me today on Everything Lifestyle.
Thank you. Thanks for that lovely introduction.
It's my pleasure. And I truly do mean that you have this great energy. And I love that you bring this enthusiasm with you when you talk about getting fit and bouncing forward. So why don't we start at the very beginning? Tell us a little bit about why you do what you do.
Sure. I am, first and foremost, I always say a mom of 2, just because I have young kids. It takes up my life, but it's also my most important role. And the undercurrent for my why and everything that I do, especially when it comes to fitness and taking care of myself. My fitness journey actually started in my late 20s, early 30s. I come from a corporate world, sitting at a desk all day, not feeling my best. And that is actually how I found health and fitness. So it has been a passion of mine to share that you actually can find realistic, small, achievable ways to take care of yourself.
Talk to me a little bit about that balance and why it's so important to approach things from a realistic perspective.
I actually think balance is one of the hardest things for anyone to achieve. Really, what is balance? Is it even actually possible? And I think that in whatever stage or season of life we're in, something always has to give. You're not going to be crushing your health and fitness goals when you're in the newborn phase of motherhood, or you're not going to be necessarily focusing on family first when you are really caught up in something at work. So whatever season we're in, something always has to give. And I actually don't really believe there's ever a beautiful, fine balance. But what we can do is first and foremost, honor the season of life we're in and have this radical acceptance that, yeah, I'm in this really dark, nitty gritty, early phase of motherhood right now. I'm not going to be able to focus on all those other areas of my life. My identity changes all the time based on the season of life I'm in. So it's really hard to say that I'm all these things at once, yet I am all these things at once, if that sort of makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think you do a really good job on your program where you break things down for workouts that are safe to do during pregnancy, kind of that pre-pregnancy stage. Then you have workouts that are safe to do during, then you have workouts that are safe to do after, and that postpartum recovery. But what I love the most about your program is the attitude of bounce forward. It's not about bouncing back to the body and the lifestyle you once had. So break that down a little bit for us.
Absolutely. When I came home from the hospital and I still looked pregnant with my first daughter, days, weeks, months after, I was truly shocked because I didn't know anything about really postpartum culture. I knew, especially growing up as an 80s baby and a 90s child, was how fast so-and-so celebrity was able to zip up their jeans when they walked out of the hospital with their kid, right? That's that culture that we were really raised with. So when I had this identity shift of, oh my gosh, I don't look like I used to, and I'm a trainer, and I'm supposed to be the fit one giving advice here. That was really hard to reconcile with. And I realized pretty quickly that I actually don't want to go backwards. I don't want to go back or snap back or bounce back, because if I did, then I wouldn't have this child. I wouldn't have this body that gave life. I always say, don't look back. We're not going that way. What can we do to move forward?
That's fabulous. And one of the things that you talked about, your time being different, that you can have that time to focus on your fitness and your body and your health.
Everything is a phase, the good and the bad. So don't get too comfortable either way.
That is fabulous advice, and certainly something that I needed to hear today as the mom of a 19-month-old.
Yes.
Marlie, I appreciate you spending the time with us today. Thank you so much. Parting words, where can somebody find you, connect with you to get more information?
For sure. For day-to-day life, if you just want to laugh or get some daily dose of motherhood realness, you can find me on my personal Instagram at Kale and Crunches. Or for quick at-home workouts for busy women, you can find those on bounceforwardco.com.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Marlie. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Coming up later, how one woman is changing her life 1 kilometre at a time.
I think I was gaining about 30 to 40 pounds a year at that time.
Life Unlocked.
There's a new TikTok trend that bears mentioning. It's called cortisol face. Cortisol face?
Cortisol face.
Okay.
So according to Healthline, there are some TikTokers out there who are saying that increased stress, which can stimulate the release of the stress hormone cortisol, causes facial puffiness and swelling, which they refer to as cortisol face. Now, everyday stress does not raise your cortisol levels high enough and for long enough to actually cause significant facial swelling and bloating.
So, it may not be cortisol face you're dealing with, but understanding cortisol and the effect on the body is important. If you're constantly stuck in stress mode, it's time to pump the brakes. Living in a constant state of fight or flight can seriously wear down your adrenal glands and throw your cortisol levels out of whack. And trust me, your body doesn't love that. Cortisol is your body's built-in stress hormone, kind of like a natural alarm system. It's made by your adrenal glands, which sit on top of your kidneys. When something stressful happens, your brain sounds the alarm and your body floods with cortisol to help you deal with it. It boosts your energy, sharpens your focus, and even regulates things like blood pressure, blood sugar, and inflammation. Basically, cortisol is your body's multitasking bestie, but only when it's in balance. Here's the cool part. Your brain, specifically your hypothalamus and pituitary gland, work like a control center. They constantly monitor your cortisol levels. And when they dip too low, your brain kicks into gear and signals your adrenal glands to make more. It's all about keeping your body in harmony, what scientists call homeostasis. But when cortisol levels get too high for too long, things can go sideways. You might start gaining weight, especially around your face and belly. You might feel weak in your arms and legs or develop high blood pressure and blood sugar levels. Some people even notice purple stretch marks or a fatty kind of hump between their shoulders. These are all signs of something called Cushing syndrome, which happens when there's too much cortisol in your system. On the flip side, if your body isn't making enough cortisol, which can happen if your immune system attacks your adrenal glands, as in Addison's disease, or if your pituitary gland isn't doing its job, you could feel constantly tired, lose weight without trying, and have low blood pressure and little appetite. Infections or even trauma can throw the system off too. The bottom line, cortisol is essential for keeping your body running smoothly. You need to eat well, get plenty of sleep, limit caffeine, exercise, and find joy and laughter. Like everything in life, balance is key. If you're feeling overwhelmed or think stress might be affecting your health, chat with your healthcare provider. There are steps you can take to reset and feel better. And it all starts with slowing down and taking a deep breath. Coming up on Everything Lifestyle, Life Unlimited Stephanie Staples and I talk about a bad 4-letter word, diet.
I don't like that word at all. That word brings up so many connotations for me of just not being enough and not getting it right and failure.
Being real.
You've battled weight your entire life, and one day you make a decision to walk into a healthier way of living. This is Mo's story. This is Being Real.
My name is Maureen Mo Janke. I'm a radio announcer, and I have been in radio for like 23 years now. It is an industry that I love. It's a chance for me to share my life and my story, and I'm really excited to be doing that here today because I have been on quite the health journey, I would say, over the last 6 years. It all kind of really began for me. I had a really great childhood. I grew up with a wonderful family. I was a very active kid. But unfortunately, when I hit puberty, my weight really skyrocketed. Even though I remained active and I was doing sport, I was gaining like 25 pounds a year. And it was just really hard to comprehend why, because I was trying my best to be active. I kept gaining weight. So then my mom went the doctor route, and she would take me to doctors and say, something's wrong with my daughter. Something is really messed up. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it took about 10 years for them to really put their finger on what was going on with me. It's a hormone imbalance. There's different ways to treat it, but at that time, it wasn't really well known. We'd go to doctor after doctor, and they would just say, well, she's eating too much. And my mom's like, I feed my daughter. I know what my daughter's eating. So that was quite frustrating. Eventually, I got into college, and radio college is a lot of fun. A little bit too much fun at times. And so I got into some bad habits, and I ate really poorly. I was a big fan of minute rice. That was my go-to every day. I think I was gaining about 30 to 40 pounds a year at that time. So then I got into my career.
94.5 Rewind Radio. There goes the Killers and Mr. Brightside. It's 6:37 on your Tuesday morning. And
I'm a radio announcer, so a lot of that is some schmoozing and events and being out in the public a lot and represent the station. And I felt incredibly uncomfortable. And that's one of the worst feelings you can ever have, is being uncomfortable, just being you. And I don't want to get emotional, but that's how I really felt. And then I kind of just, unfortunately, started to give up on myself a lot. I haven't actually said those words in a really long time. So when you give up on yourself, it's really quite hard to get back on track. And I would say that I was like that for 15 years. My life involved going to work and going home and hiding from the world. And that was really hard because I missed out on a lot. I didn't travel, and I didn't have relationships, and even my friendship. I was always the fat, funny person. That's how I looked at myself. So, jump ahead was November of 2018 that really struck a chord for me because my mom ended up having a heart attack. I went home to, of course, be with her and to help my family through this. And my brother and my dad both had a very frank conversation with me. Because at that time, I was still very heavy. I had lost maybe 30 pounds. My heaviest weight was 422 pounds. So I was hovering around 390 then. They both kind of sat down with me and they said, we're very worried. Anytime you walk into this house, we wonder if it'll be the last time you walk into the house. And so I thought, if I'm not going to do this for myself, I'm going to do it for the 3 people that love me the most. And that's my parents and my brother. January 12th, 2019 was the day I started. And I call it my liberation day, when I was like going to break out of this bad thing I was in and I was going to do something about it and make myself get a little healthy. I think when you're starting something as big as this, getting healthy, you have to start small. And so I said to myself, I'm going to walk at least 1 kilometer per day. 1 kilometer doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of people, but at 390 pounds, think about that. Like, I'm carrying around at least 190 pounds extra weight. And to walk a kilometer was an ordeal. My joints hurt, my feet hurt. I was tired afterwards. My parents had bought me a treadmill probably 8 years before that. I'm like, hey, you walk 1 kilometer on the treadmill. So I started January 12th and I walked a kilometer a day. And I think I stuck with a kilometer for about 2 months. And then I started doing 1.5 kilometers a day. And then it just kind of gradually progressed. And now I'm walking about 5 kilometers per day for exercise, and it's the best thing that I do in my day. It makes me happy. It makes me feel accomplished every day. I'm at 2,272 days of walking every day for myself and for my health. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy, and it's like that. Some days you just don't want to. I'm up to 5 kilometers a day now, but on days when I'm not feeling well, you don't want to overdo it. So I make sure it's just 1 kilometer a day. That's my goal. That's my promise to myself. It really does make me feel proud. And that's the thing that I've really come to love about my journey is I've gotten to do things that I didn't do for 15 plus years. I'm more than just the girl that goes from work to home and home to work. I'm a girl that goes out with her friends now. I'm a girl that goes on dates now. I've traveled a bit, which has been a lot of fun, something that I never thought I'd do. But the best thing is, I no longer want to feel invisible when I'm out in public. That's the biggest thing for me. I don't want to be invisible anymore. I want people to know who I am. I'm doing it because it's going to make me happy, and it's going to make my life expand in a way that I want it to, which is more life experiences, not just sitting at home, being bored, and essentially dying in front of a TV. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have a full life.
I'd be totally cool with that.
Thank you for sharing your story, Mo. For more amazing personal journey stories, head to everythinglifestyle.ca. Coming up, are you burnt out?
It's quite a profound experience, and I don't think that people realize how prevalent burnout is.
Life Unlimited with Stephanie Staples.
She's not your typical keynote speaker, coach, or consultant. She's a little quirky, a little unconventional, and 100% dedicated to making a difference. From a 5'2" nurse with a nice little life to an award-winning speaker, coach, entrepreneur, columnist, and consultant, Stephanie Staples' journey took off when she followed her passion for personal development. Since then, she's graced stages from the Mayo Clinic to the Middle East, written for top publications, launched businesses, some triumphs, some lessons, and achieved the highest designation in professional speaking, Certified Speaking Professional, or CSP. She doesn't claim to be an expert in everything, but she's always real, always engaging, and always ready to spark meaningful conversations about living your life unlimited. So grab a cup of tea, coffee, or whatever fuels you and get ready for the ride. Stephanie Staples is here. It's Life Unlimited, and I am just going to throw at you today, Stephanie, the wonderful world that so many people live in called dieting. And I'm talking like following specific diets. What do you think about that?
I think it's a 4-letter word.
Exactly. A dirty 4-letter word.
I don't like that word at all. That word brings up so many connotations for me of just not being enough and not getting it right and failure. And that is unfortunately what comes up for me. Maybe if for other people, of course, there's different things, but I can't really think of a whole bunch of good associations I have with that word. How about you?
Well, no, because let's face it, it's not just the word, but the science behind it shows most diets, if you're following a diet, high fat, low carb, no sugar, all this stuff, as soon as you stop, you go back to the weight you were, if not then some. So then I look at it and go, why do people keep doing this? Because then it's hard in the brain, right? Then we've got the mental side of it thinking we are a failure because it worked and then, oh, it doesn't work because I went back to some of my habits from before.
Is it that our worth is so much attached to a scale and numbers and society and on and on and on? You know, I think that's a big part of it.
100%. Like, I really do. Like, we care so much about what society thinks of us. However, I say that, and I think there's a shift from that. I think you're one of those people who are shifting people's mindsets. There's a lot of people out there now that are having a big voice in this area to say, be happy with who you are.
If I never stepped on a scale again, it would be okay by me. I haven't had a scale for most of my life. And I think my life has been fine. Rather than the scale deciding, oh, you are worthy, maybe I could decide, I want to be strong, fit, healthy. What does that mean to me? What do those criteria mean to me? What do I want to be able to do? What does my 10-year future self look like? What will they be thanking me for today?
When I use the word diet, it means following something strict. What I do think is really important, and a lot of lifestyle coaches and people are now saying it is the whole overall wellness for yourself. So making sure that you are eating your fruits and vegetables and eating as clean as you can, and, not giving up everything, because then it has a toll. Like the thought of never having a donut again would just make me crazy.
Eating should be, if we could think of it as nourishing our body or just nourishing our body. And sometimes we're nourishing it with soul food, which is highly caloric and full of icing. After the gym today, I said to the trainer, I'm like, there's a bakery right across the street from my gym, which I think is really cruel. And I'm like, it is cruel. I really want to go straight from the gym to get a Boston cream. You know what he said? He said, go for it. And I'm like, well, that's, my permission, right? Like, could I do that every day? But if I did that once a week, well, that's okay. But common sense prevails.
I think so many people get down on themselves. And I'm just going to say to anybody listening, just own it. Own your body. Be happy. Love yourself. Like, look in the mirror every day and say, I love you the way you are. Because you know what? At the end of the day, that's the only control you have, is each and every day to feel good about yourself.
Amen.
Steph, it's always great chatting with you, regardless of the topic. Your perspective and, outlook on life is amazing. Anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Carry on, Linda and friends. Keep on going and live your life unlimited. Oh, what's the alternative?
That's right.
Mindfulness moment.
What exactly is the meaning of burnout? Is it something you've experienced? Would you even know? Claire Maisonneuve is a seasoned clinical counselor with over 35 years of experience. She's the director of the Alpine Counseling Clinic, where she leads a team of 25 dedicated counselors offering both counseling services and direct neurofeedback. Over the years, Claire has explored and integrated a wide range of approaches to help people find inner peace. This journey has given her a profound understanding of how the mind, heart, and soul work together, and how we can nurture each to live more fully and authentically. Claire Maisonneuve helps break down burnout.
When you think of burnout, what comes to mind just off the top of your head? If a person told you they're burned out, what would you think? A real burnout is actually an experience where people can no longer function. There are a lot of people that burn out, meaning they cannot go back to their job. They cannot function the way they were functioning before. They can't be who they want to be. They can't be how they want to be because everything is caught up with them. So it's quite a profound experience, and I don't think that people realize how prevalent burnout is, particularly amongst high achievers. A lot of times people think about burnout as, wow, just a sudden crash that happened. I couldn't get out of bed yesterday and that's it. I'm in bed and I can't go back to work and I can't think about work and I'm too overwhelmed. But burnout isn't actually sudden. It's a slow growing experience that creeps in inside of you. And people know intuitively when they're not feeling well and they're heading towards burnout, but they don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to believe it. There's a lot of warning signs that happen with burnout that we can ignore. And what often happens is that there'll be something that'll tip you over the edge. Something too big now to manage will go on in your life, and it's just too much. And that's when they'll crash. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, burnout just happens suddenly. there's signs. And one of the things that happens is people start becoming emotionally exhausted. It's not a tiredness, like I'm really tired, I want to sleep in tomorrow. It's like there's an exhaustion that creeps in over time. And no matter what you do, it just feels like you can't get out of that experience of exhaustion. And the other thing is there's a physical fatigue. And again, that physical fatigue is different than tiredness. You can have a long weekend, sleep in, and be rejuvenated by Monday. But with this fatigue, you just never feel rejuvenated. The other thing to pay attention to is, you know you're burning out when your motivation is going down. You know, a lot of people, again, who burn out are high achievers, and they're very motivated. They're very passionate. They're very goal-oriented. And suddenly their motivation, it just feels like it's not there. Everything feels overwhelming. It's too much. That's too much to take on. The other problem is that sense of frustration and irritation and anger that starts creeping up a lot. You don't have patience for the people you love around you. You don't have patience for your kids, for your employees. You don't want to see your friends. You want to withdraw. So if you hear all this, the overwhelming theme here that happens is the sense of no longer being in control. And that is the biggest, most distressing factor for people who are burning out. This inability to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it, because I just don't have the mental capacity, the physical capacity. And so that sense of being out of control is highly distressing for people. You're the pillar of strength. Everybody looks to you for advice, for help, and suddenly you can't be the person that you've worked so hard to try to be. It's a shock, and I would say that recovering from burnout is really recovering from feeling out of control. The truth is we're never in control. We're just under the illusion that we're in control. And we think we're in control as long as everything goes my way. I go to work, my car works, my business is running, my family's all healthy. So I'm always under the illusion I'm in control of my life. But the truth is any moment, anything can happen. And when I have that realization that, oh, actually, I don't have control over my life, that can take years, even decades for people to recover from. At the end of the day, burnout is an existential crisis that is helping us look at the reality of ourselves, how we think about ourselves, how we manage our lives, and who we are in this universe. And that's why I like to call it a breakthrough rather than a breakdown. It's a real opportunity for us to reevaluate and to look at, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? How am I doing this? What is the purpose of my life? What am I trying to get at here? Who am I?
Thanks, Claire. You can find Claire at alpineclinic.ca. On the next Everything Lifestyle, Claire takes a deeper dive into the emotional and physical toll of burnout.
I want to be loved. I want to be accepted. I want to matter. I want to be wanted. That's what we all want, no matter what our goals are in life.
Life is challenging, and choosing wellness in our daily lives may seem like adding to the already long to-do list. But together, we can make it easier. On the next episode of Everything Lifestyle, we tackle the sunshine vitamin's role in overall health and how to bring more laughter into your life with Life Unlimited Stephanie Staples. I'm Linda Freeman. Let's connect again soon as together we take the journey of Everything Lifestyle. You've been listening to Everything Lifestyle, an initiative powered by Pattison Media. designed to inspire and motivate a healthy life. For more information on this program, go to everythinglifestyle.ca.
Another Everything Podcast production. Visit everythingpodcast.com, a division of Pattison Media. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast.